Hi, this is the Legend Yugi channel. Different guy from the previous one with the 6 Sam and the blue eyes. This I'm going to be showing the burn deck. It's a very powerful OP deck, overpowered. To get started with the monsters, we have Achacha Chanbara and Achacha Archer. When it's normal flip summoned, inflict 500 damage, and this works really good with Chanbara. During either player's turn, when a card effect is activated that will inflict damage. When it resolves, I can special summon a card from my hand, and if you do, inflict 400 damage to my opponent. This also works if the opponent inflicts effect damage to you. So it's good. Next is the Bow Gainen. During each my standby phase, inflict 600 to my opponent. That's Koala, great card. It's flip. Inflict 400. Inflict 400 to my opponent for each card in their hand. Real good if if someone screws up on the Exodia. Infection Fairy Lily. I don't use this much often, but it's good. If this card attacks or is attacked once during the damage calculation, you can pay 2,000 life points to have this card gain 3,000 attack during that damage calculation only. So, kind of, if you think about it, Solemn Warning, I guess. This is the best card in the deck ever. Cannot be normal summoner set. This card can only special summon to my opponent's side of the field by attributing 2 monsters they control. You can normal summon or normal set the turn you special summon this card. This monster's controller takes 100 damage during each of their standby phases. So I played with the guy who has the 6 Sam deck, and it's fun to take out his Shien and Shogun whenever he has to. So yeah,
he's talking about me.
Marshmallow, great card. Control of the monster attacks this face down takes 100 damage after damage calculation. This card cannot be destroyed by battle. So if you have this in defense, the guy attacks. They take 1,000 and cannot be destroyed. So it's a good defense.
You can get 1 or 2 of those. 2 is optional.
Yeah.
You can like stall them out.
Next is Princess Sakuri, another flip one. Inflict 500 of damage to my opponent's life points for each spell and trap card on their opponent's side of the field. This includes set spell and trap cards and field spells. So, you know, good stuff. Raging Flame Sprite. This can attack my opponent directly. If this card inflicts battle damage to my opponent by a direct attack, this gains 1,000. So if I attack this, this has 100 attack. If I attack this first, it would just take 100, and then it will gain the 1,000 it needs. Next is Solar Flare. If I control another Pyro type monster, this cannot be attacked. Inflict 500 damage to my opponent during the end of phase of this turn. So like this, or like this Volcanic Slicer. Once per turn, I can inflict 500 to my opponent. But if you do, this card cannot attack. So if you have these two, the opponent would most likely go for this one. Would go for Volcanic Slicer. Spirit Reaper cannot be destroyed by battle, and if this is targeted by some card effect, then this would be automatically destroyed. I don't think it really works with Fiendish Chain. I've never really had that happen. But if this inflicts battle damage to my opponent by a direct attack, discard 1 random card from their hand. So you know, it's good. Stealth Bird, real fun card. Once per turn, you can change this to face down defense position. When this card is flip summoned, inflict 1,000 damage to my opponent. So then I set this. Next turn, I can flip summon, inflict 1,000. Now, if this is set and attacked, its effect will not work because it's supposed to be a flip summon. Flip, if it said the word flip, then it would work. Now onto spells. We got Chain Energy. Each player must pay 500 life points per card to normal summon, special summon, set, or activate cards from his or her respective hand. So, if you have this in your hand, I think you would really want to activate this at the end. Dark Room of Nightmare. This is good with any kind of effect damage. Each time your opponent takes damage from a card effect, except Dark Room of Nightmare, inflict 300 damage to my opponent.
Okay, just keep going.
God.
We can edit that out, whatever.
Excuse. Level limit area B. Change all face up level 4 higher monster defense position. So if this will not work on ranks XYZs. So Messenger of Peace, you must pay 100 life points for each of his standby phases. If not, this card is destroyed. But all monsters with an attack of 1500 points or more cannot attack. So, you know, this will work with XYZs that are very high. This one kind of like a Swords of Revealing Light, but really no monsters can attack. But this would be destroyed after 2 of my opponent's turns. Next is Ukazi, inflict 800. Poison. I put 3 of these because, you know, it's fun. Again, this works well with Dark Room. Most of these cards just really do. Scapegoat, fun card, you know, if you want to use something like Ceasefire, well, not Ceasefire, but you know, just for defense, Stolen. Oh, good one. Each player must pay 500 life points to declare an attack. Now, if they're paying, Dark Room of Nightmare will not work, because it's only inflicting the damage, and that works for Achachachanbara. This one's good flip, you know, swords.
You guys have trade or not on it?
No.
Nah, sorry.
Or are you doing Yugi too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His burn deck profile.
Here's a very popular card if you're going to use it in a burn deck. Wave Motion Cannon. Send this card on the field to the graveyard during my main phase. Inflict damage to my opponent's life points equal to the number of standby phases that have passed after the card's activation. So if you're like damaging this opponent and you still have this face up on the field, you could send this and probably end the game. Now for traps, we've got Ceasefire, flip all face down defense position monsters. Face flip effects are not activated at this time. Inflict 500 damage to your opponent for each face-up effect monster on the field. So if you're worried that like there's a like flip effect like Old Vindictive Magician or something like the Gravekeeper, you can use this and you know whatnot. Dark Bride, you know, if a spell trap card activates, the opponent draws 1 card and negate this and destroy it. Dimension Wall. This one is like a magic cylinder if your opponent was doing a direct attack. Really good card. It's a good surprise. Gravity Bind, same thing like level limit. Level 4 hires cannot attack. Just Desserts. Inflict 500 for direct damage to my opponent's life points for each monster on my opponent's side of the field. Now there's a card Okama Trio that's not on this deck, but it's really good with Just Desserts. Okama, you can special summon 3 tokens to their side of the field, and they'll have like 5 monsters. And then when you activate this, they'll take 2,500. Magic Cylinder, you know pretty well. Magic Jammer, discard 1 card, negate the activation of a spell card. Not trap card, but spell card. Mirror Force, yeah. Negate attack, so this just negates the attack and ends the battle phase if you need more cards. Nightmare Wheel, here's a good one. Kind of like a Fiendish Chain if you just don't want them to attack. But during each of my standby phase, while that monster is on the field, inflict 500 damage. Secret Barrel, inflict damage to my opponent equal to the total number of cards in my opponent's side of the field and in your opponent's hand. So it's also good with Ohama Trio. Next, Skull Invitation. Every time a card is sent to the graveyard, inflict 300 points of direct damage to my owner's life points. I'd probably use this for something like Magic Jammer because it's not the best card, but you know, something worthwhile. Threatening Roar, your opponent cannot declare an attack during this turn. And Waboku, same thing. I have the description that's like from I think like one of the Yu-Gi-Oh video games, but really the description is that you can't that your monsters are not destroyed, and you take no battle damage. So yeah, that is the whole thing. Stay tuned for more.